London, November 1987, 4:47 p.m. A boy sat on the pavement outside King's Cross Station. Maybe 11 years old, hard to tell. Street life ages you fast, makes you look older than you are, or younger, depending on how broken you've become. His guitar had 3 strings, not 4, not 2, 3. The sound hole was cracked, the neck was warped. It shouldn't have made music, but he was playing it anyway. He was playing Yesterday. Not well, not perfectly, but recognizably. The melody was there, fractured, missing notes, but there, like hearing a memory through static. Like a photograph that's been water damaged, but you can still see the faces. His guitar case lay open. Inside, 47 pence. 3 hours of playing. Barely enough for a sandwich. Not enough for a place to sleep. Not enough to matter. People walk past. Hundreds of them. Thousands. Rush hour in London. Everyone going somewhere. Everyone too busy, too tired, too focused on their own problems to notice a kid with a broken guitar playing a Beatles song nobody wanted to hear anymore. 200 feet away, walking toward a meeting he didn't want to attend, was Paul McCartney. And in exactly 4 minutes, everything was about to change. Paul wasn't supposed to be at King's Cross. He was supposed to be at Abbey Road. But traffic had rerouted him. Construction, a detour, the kind of random chance that feels like fate when you look back on it. He was tired, had been in the studio all day, recording, re-recording, trying to capture something that kept slipping away. The magic, the feeling, the thing that used to come easy and now required effort. That's when he heard it. A melody, familiar, wrong but familiar, like hearing your own voice played back and realizing it doesn't sound like you thought it did. Paul stopped walking. There on the pavement, a kid, skinny, dirty, playing a guitar that looked like it had survived a war, playing Yesterday, Paul's song, the song he'd written, the song that had defined him, changed his life, made him famous, being played on 3 strings by a homeless kid outside King's Cross Station. Paul stood there, just listening. The kid was good, not technically perfect, but good in the way that mattered. He was playing from somewhere real, somewhere desperate, somewhere Paul recognized because he'd been there once, before the fame, before the money, before Paul McCartney became Paul McCartney. Nobody recognized Paul. The hat helped, the jacket, the fact that people don't expect to see Paul McCartney standing on a pavement listening to a street kid. Paul made a decision. He started walking toward the boy. The kid looked up, saw a man approaching, got ready to be moved along, to be told to leave, to be called a nuisance, because that's what always happened. That's what street kids learned. You don't belong. You're in the way. Move. But this man didn't say that. This man crouched down, eye level, the way you talk to equals. That's a good song, the man said. The boy stopped playing. Suspicious. Adults didn't compliment. They criticized. They threatened. They ignored. But they didn't compliment. Thanks, the boy said quietly. Where'd you learn it? My mom used to sing it, before she died. Paul felt something crack inside him, because he knew. He knew what it meant to lose your mother young, knew what it meant to carry that loss, to try to fill the space with music. When did she die? Paul asked gently. A year ago, cancer. I'm sorry. The boy shrugged, like grief was just another thing to carry, like loss was normal, expected, part of life. What's your name? Paul asked. Tommy Fletcher. How old are you, Tommy? 11. Where do you live? Tommy looked down. Nowhere, everywhere, wherever. Paul sat down, right there on the cold pavement, next to this kid, this stranger, this boy playing his song on 3 strings. How long have you been on the streets? Paul asked. 6 months, since my mom died. Nobody wanted me. Foster care was worse than streets, so I left. You ran away? I survived, Paul nodded, understanding. There's a difference. Yeah. How long has your guitar been broken? Tommy looked at the guitar. Couple weeks. Guy stepped on it. Didn't mean to, but it broke. Can't afford to fix it, so I just play it like this. On 3 strings? Better than no strings, Paul smiled. That's true. A woman across the street noticed. Her eyes went wide. She whispered to her friend. Is that Paul McCartney? Word spread, the way it always does in London. Fast, whispered, electric. Within minutes, a small crowd had formed. Not pushing, not shouting, just watching. Because what was happening felt important, fragile, sacred. Paul McCartney sitting on a pavement, talking to a homeless kid with a broken guitar. Why Yesterday? Paul asked. What do you mean? Why that song? Out of all the songs you could play, why that one? Tommy looked at the guitar. Because my mom loved it. She'd sing it when she was cooking, when she was happy, when she wanted to remember better days. It was her favorite, so I play it. So I remember her voice, so she's not completely gone. Paul's eyes filled with tears, because he understood, because yesterday had been about loss too, about looking back, about missing what's gone, about trying to hold on to memories that slip away no matter how hard you grip. Your mom had good taste, Paul said. She did. Tommy, can I tell you something? Yeah. I wrote that song. Tommy looked at Paul, really looked, past the hat, past the jacket, at the face, the eyes, the features that had been on album covers, on television, in magazines. You're Paul McCartney, Tommy whispered. Yeah. Oh my God. Don't make a big deal about it. But the crowd was making a big deal. Phones were out, pictures being taken, people calling friends. Paul McCartney is at King's Cross with a homeless kid. Paul ignored them, focused on Tommy. You play really well, Paul said, especially with 3 strings. That's not easy. I just do what I can. That's all any of us can do. Paul looked at the broken guitar. Can I see it? Tommy handed it over carefully, like it was precious, because it was. It was all he had. Paul examined the guitar, the crack, the missing strings, the damage. This has been through a lot. Yeah, but it still plays. Sort of. Music isn't about perfect instruments, Tommy. It's about what you're trying to say, and you're saying something true. I can hear it. Tommy felt tears coming, because nobody had told him he was good. Nobody had told him he mattered. Nobody had stopped. Do you know why Yesterday works on 3 strings? Paul asked. Tommy shook his head. Because it was never about the guitar. It was about the feeling, the loss, the memory. You've got that. You don't need 6 strings to communicate grief. You just need honesty. And you've got that. Paul handed the guitar back. Tommy, I need to ask you something, and I want you to be honest. When was the last time you ate? Tommy looked down. Yesterday morning, someone gave me half a sandwich. Paul pulled out his wallet, took out several bills, handed them to Tommy. This is 200 pounds. Buy food, get a place to stay for a few nights, get your guitar fixed. Tommy stared at the money. I can't take this. Yes, you can. But I didn't earn it. You earned it by playing my song, by honoring your mom's memory, by surviving. That's worth more than money. Tommy's hands shook. I don't know what to say. Say you'll keep playing. Say the music doesn't die. Say you'll get help. What kind of help? Paul turned to the crowd. Does anyone here work with homeless youth? A woman pushed through, professional, carrying a briefcase. I do. I'm Sarah Chen. I work at the Shelter Trust. We help kids like Tommy. Paul stood. Sarah, this is Tommy Fletcher. He's been on the streets for 6 months. He needs help. Real help. Can you do that? Sarah crouched down next to Tommy. Hi, Tommy. I want to help. We have programs, housing, counseling, school placement. Would you be willing to talk? Tommy looked at Paul. What do you think? I think you should have a conversation with Sarah, then decide. But staying on the streets isn't surviving. It's dying slowly, and your mom wouldn't want that. Tommy started crying. I miss her so much. Paul put his hand on Tommy's shoulder. I know. I lost my mom when I was 14. It never stops hurting. But you learn to carry it. Music helps. People help. But you have to let them help. Tommy nodded. Paul did something unexpected. He took off his jacket, handed it to Tommy. It's getting cold. You need this more than I do. Tommy held the jacket like it was sacred. This is yours. It's yours now. Then Paul reached into his other pocket, pulled out a guitar pick, the pick he'd been using in the studio that day. This is for you, so you remember that someone stopped, someone saw you, someone believed in you. Tommy took the pick. Thank you. Paul looked at Sarah. Take care of him. I will. Paul looked at the crowd. They were filming, recording. This would be news, headlines. Paul McCartney helps homeless boy. But Paul didn't care about that. He cared about Tommy. Tommy, Paul said, one more thing. Play good music. Tell the truth. Help people when you can. That's all that matters. Fame, money, success, none of that matters if you're not helping. If you're not seeing people. If you're not stopping when someone needs you to stop. Tommy was crying too hard to speak. He just nodded. Paul smiled. You're going to be okay. I believe that. Then he walked away, hands in his pockets. The crowd parted, silent, understanding they'd witnessed something rare. Sarah took Tommy to her office, made calls, found emergency housing, started the process. It took 3 months, but Tommy got into a group home. Safe, fed, enrolled in school, started therapy for grief, started healing. Tommy kept the guitar, got it fixed with Paul's money, learned to play properly, 6 strings, better technique. But he never forgot playing on 3 strings, never forgot the day Paul McCartney crouched down on a pavement. The photo from that day appeared in newspapers worldwide. Paul McCartney stops for homeless boy. But the story was different. It wasn't about celebrity charity. It was about one musician recognizing another, about seeing someone when they felt invisible, about stopping when everyone else kept walking. Paul never talked about it publicly. When reporters asked, he said, "I met a kid who needed help. I helped. That's all." But for Tommy Fletcher, it was everything. 10 years later, Tommy Fletcher enrolled in music school, studied composition, graduated, started teaching music to at-risk youth. Kids like he'd been, homeless, forgotten, invisible. In every class, Tommy told the story about being 11, about playing yesterday on 3 strings, about the day Paul McCartney stopped walking. "He didn't save my life," Tommy would say. "He reminded me my life was worth saving. There's a difference." Tommy still has that guitar, still has the jacket, still has the pick, not for selling, for remembering, for proving that someone saw him when he felt invisible. The guitar hangs in his classroom now. Students ask about it. Tommy tells them the story, then he tells them the real lesson. Music isn't about perfect instruments. It's about truth, about survival, about playing even when everything's broken. Paul McCartney taught me that. But more importantly, he taught me that stopping for people matters, that seeing people matters, that fame means nothing if you're not using it to help. Tommy Fletcher never became famous, but he became exactly what he needed to be: a teacher, a helper, someone who stops when kids need someone to stop. He plays yesterday in every concert he gives, 6 strings now, perfect technique. But he always tells the audience about the day he played it on 3 strings, about the day Paul McCartney crouched down on a pavement outside King's Cross Station. "That song saved my life twice," Tommy says. "Once when my mom sang it, once when Paul heard me play it." That's the power of music. It connects us across grief, across loss, across the distance between who we are and who we need to be. But there's more to the story, something Tommy doesn't tell in interviews, something he keeps private, sacred. Every year on November 15th, the anniversary of that day, Tommy goes back to King's Cross Station. Same spot, same pavement. He brings his guitar, the one Paul helped him fix, and he plays Yesterday for 3 hours, exactly the amount of time he'd been playing before Paul stopped. And he plays it on 3 strings, not because he has to, because he wants to, because he wants to remember what it felt like, to be broken, to be desperate, to be invisible. So he never forgets, so he never walks past a kid who needs stopping for. People recognize him sometimes. "You're that teacher, the one with the Paul McCartney story." And Tommy just smiles, keeps playing, because the playing isn't about the story, it's about remembering. In 2017, 30 years after that day, Tommy got a letter. No return address, just a London postmark. Inside, a single sentence. "Still playing? Still helping? Still remembering? P." Tommy framed that letter, hung it next to the guitar in his classroom, because it meant Paul remembered too, meant that day mattered to both of them, meant the stopping hadn't just changed Tommy, it had meant something to Paul too. Tommy's students don't all make it. Some fall back into streets, some give up, some decide music isn't worth the fight, but some make it. Some go to university, some become musicians, some become teachers, and all of them, every single one, knows the story. About 3 strings, about a broken guitar, about the day someone stopped. One student, a girl named Maya, who'd been homeless for 2 years, asked Tommy once, "Do you think Paul McCartney knows what he did? Like really knows?" Tommy thought about it. "Yeah, I think he knows. I think that's why he did it, because someone probably stopped for him once, or didn't stop, and he wished they had. So he stopped for me, and I stopped for you, and hopefully you'll stop for someone else. That's how it works. That's how we save each other." Maya graduated last year, got into the Royal Academy of Music, full scholarship. She plays violin now, beautiful, professional. But she started on a broken violin she found in a dumpster. Tommy helped her fix it, gave her money for strings, for lessons, for believing. On her graduation day, Maya hugged Tommy. "You're my Paul McCartney," she said. Tommy cried, "No, I'm your Tommy, and you're going to be someone else's Maya. That's how this works." The cycle continues, Tommy teaching, students learning, some succeeding, some failing, but all of them being seen, being stopped for, being told they matter. And it all started because Paul McCartney heard a broken guitar playing yesterday and made a choice. Not the easy choice, not the convenient choice, the right choice. To stop, to crouch down, to see someone everyone else was ignoring. November 1987. Paul McCartney stopped walking, crouched down, saw a homeless boy, gave him money, gave him hope, gave him the understanding that his life mattered. And Tommy Fletcher never forgot. He plays that guitar every day, teaches kids who need teaching, stops for people who need stopping for, passes on what Paul gave him. Not just money, not just a jacket. The understanding that you don't have to be perfect to matter. You just have to keep playing, keep trying, keep believing someone will stop. That's everything. Look, if this story moved you, if you've ever walked past someone who needed you to stop, if you've ever wondered if one person can make a difference, do me a favor, hit that like button. Share this with someone who needs to know that stopping matters, that seeing people matters. We've completed 84 Beatles stories, 84 reminders that Paul McCartney wasn't just a musician. He was someone who stopped walking, who crouched down, who saw people when they felt invisible. Drop a comment and let me know. Have you ever stopped for someone? Have you ever been Tommy? Turn those notifications on because these stories matter. These moments matter. These stops matter. Remember, music isn't about perfect instruments. It's about playing even when everything's broken. And Paul McCartney proved that outside King's Cross Station, when he stopped for a boy with 3 strings.